Hello, good morning, everyone, and we are glad to have you this morning. We have with us today our facilitator who is readily available before time, Tosin Adebusuyi. She's here um, to share our American experience with us. She's our alum, now IVLP. To read our bio this morning, I would like to invite our director at our newly opened Unilag window on America, Dr. Tenny Eguatu. Over to you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Um, it's my great honor to lead a citation of someone who is a sitting development professional and whose work has impacted not just community but
Dr. Tenny, face the camera, face us.
Okay, I was sitting
Yeah.
there. Okay, so let me go ahead and waste no more time. So Tosin Adebusuyi is a development professional with over 13 years of experience designing, implementing, and managing high-impact programs across youth and community development, as well as public health. She has led multi-sectoral initiatives that have reached thousands of people with a strong focus on empowering young people, strengthening community systems, and driving sustainable development outcomes. She currently serves as program manager at New Nigerian Foundation, where she designs and delivers grant-funded projects, which include entrepreneurship and agro-business initiatives. Tosin has successfully secured and managed grants, coordinated multi-stakeholder partnership across governments, donor agencies, and the private sector, and facilitated capacity building programs for diverse audiences. As alumna of the US Department States International Visitor Leadership Program, IVLP, and the Young African Leadership Initiative, YALI, Tosin brings deep expertise in program strategy, stakeholder engagement, proposal development, as well as monitoring and evaluation. She is a member of the U.S. Government Exchange Alumni Association, Osun State Chapter. She also oversees a volunteer-driven organization through which she leads impactful youth development, entrepreneurship, and civic engagement initiatives, including Project Boys to Men, a life and leadership development program for adolescent boys. Tosin holds a Master of Public Health from the University of Glasgow, United Kingdom, and a first-class degree Public Health from Bangkok University, Nigeria. She is passionate about creating scalable solutions that improve lives and advance inclusive development. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me and welcome this project professional person by the name Tosin Adebusuyi. You have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Tenny. If you have any other thing to add to what she has read, you can go ahead and take over with your presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Josephine, and thank you so much, Ms. Tenny. Really appreciate you all for this opportunity. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tosin Adebusuyi, and I'm joining you from Lagos at the moment, Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you so much. So I'll quickly share my screen as we start. Okay. Please, can you all see my screen? Maybe you can give a thumbs up. Oh, thank you very much. Okay, so good morning, everyone. Once again, I am Tosin Adebusuyi, and I'm really delighted to be here this morning. I count it such a great privilege, a great honor. Thank you so much for the leadership, Professor Eitayo, to Josephine, for the back and forth contacting and, ensuring that we're here today, and to all the American spaces joining nationwide. I'd like to start from Oshobo. My people are there. Good morning this morning. And Ibadan, I can see Ibadan is one of the American, has the American corner as well. So Ibadan, I grew up in Ibadan. So hello, Ibadan, this morning. I served in Katsina State. So Inakwaranku to everyone in Katsina. Let me use that as a point of contact to everyone, right? Okay, Lagos, I'm in Lagos. So good morning in Lekki, good morning in Ikeja. Please don't be jealous if I don't mention your name. Thank you very much for having me this morning. And also happy 250th Independence anniversary in advance, of course, to the United States of America. It's a very significant year this year, and the US is celebrating the 25th 250th Independence anniversary. So I acknowledge that. And to everyone joining online, either via YouTube or Facebook or other spaces, thank you so much for having me this morning. Okay, so I'll go right into it. How it all began. Our theme for this morning is on problem solving, a pathway to opportunities. And I'm going to be telling my stories and weaving it into my experiences, as an IVLP alum and also a yearly alum. So after my master's degree in the UK, I came back to Nigeria and I started job hunting, and I made Oshogo my soft landing, I would call it at the time, because I had access to almost 24-hour electricity at the time. It's not like that now. And free internet, as well. So I said, okay, let me go there, have a bit of soft landing before, coming back to Lagos to just, have, main footing in my career. But that was not the plan. Well, I don't know whether to call it sadly, because it has worked out for good over the years. And so I started volunteering. My background is in public health educationally, and my area of interest is adolescent health. So I started going to public secondary schools, a few private, but I majored on the government schools, training on adolescent health issues and also on life skills building. So things around problem solving, things around decision making, leadership for young people. I started doing that in secondary schools, and of course, building my skills and network, because I had never lived in Oshobo up until that time. And while I was doing that volunteering, I started meeting people, and people would say, "What are you doing in Oshobo?" And I'll meet other people like, so you're in this Oshobo as well, because at the time, Oshobo was not, as developed as it is today. This was 2014. That's about 12 years ago. And, I started identifying gaps, problems. And I started thinking, okay, what solutions can we give to these gaps, or problems, as we might call it, and what value can be created, out of it all. And so, from identifying gaps like, okay, people of like minds, we're seeing each other, but we are kind of scattered in different places. How can we bring people of like minds together in Oshobo? And honestly, I just started like that, So, of course, I talked to people, because you need people, collaboration. I talked to people that I met. Oh, what do you think about this idea? Trying to find some form of co-creation and looking for volunteers, a team, putting together a team that we could work together to make this possible. And, we started Le Rendezvous. So I did a bit of French in French Village, and that's why, we said, okay, Le Rendezvous, let's have a network of people who meet together periodically. So we started Le Rendezvous, Meet, Network, Share. That was the name. And over time, as, we started editions and would meet once in 2 months, it evolved into a business networking event for young entrepreneurs. And what was the outcome of the rendezvous? As we started, people, started forming businesses, or people who had businesses were able to expand on their networks, and people will be like, oh, okay, I came here and I was able to meet somebody, that helped my business, and all of that. And then from that, I was able to build track record, and eventually applied for a grant. I'd seen a call for proposal. I did not set out to start applying for grants or having an NGO or anything, but I knew I was going to work in the development space, But then I said, okay, there is a grant opportunities for us to be able, to solve problems or gaps, identified gaps in Oshogo at the time. And because we were also seeing results. So, it built a track record. We sent out a proposal. I sent out a proposal, developed, designed an entrepreneurship training. This was in 2014, by the way, or 2015 now. Sent out, an application, and I was selected. So even before I knew anything about Alum or exchange programs with the US government, I'd say my American experience actually started by getting that grant. So we're able to train 60 youths in Oshobo at the time. It was a 1-year program, had an entrepreneurship training, and also mentored. So, and of course, that was already building a team, building stakeholder, having stakeholder to manage, engage stakeholders as well. And the outcomes were businesses were being strengthened. And there's a particular person I know till date who would always, say, oh, if not for the training, the entrepreneurship training that I attended, I'm not sure I would have the business skills that I have up to date. Up till today. Another outcome that I later found out was that there was a marriage. Now, I did not set out to start matchmaking people, but remember, a problem was identified, solutions were provided, and it happened that between a training participant that had attended the entrepreneurship training and one of our facilitators who was volunteering with us, they met each other and they are still married till date. So that's one of the outcomes of when you set out for problem, solving. Who knows what can happen? And then eventually it also builds track record for my yearly RLC experience. I'll come to that in the next page. Another problem that I had identified in Oshobo at the time was on behavioral challenges with in-school adolescent boys. There were so many issues with the boys at the time. And I started thinking, because of my knowledge, in the development sector, I started finding out how can we balance, solutions or so much attention, given to the girl child, by also giving some focus, to the boy child, and see what solutions can we create for the boy child. Yes, we might live in a patriarchal society in Africa generally, so Nigeria is not left out. But these boys are being given birth to, by the second as well. And they enter into that narrative of, oh, it's a patriarchal society. How can we start changing the narratives right from a young age? And that was how Project Boys to Men was birthed in 2015. And it's a life and leadership skills development program for secondary school boys. We aim to eventually go to out of school boys, but for structure and, coordination at the moment, and of course, Confident boys are better positioned for life. And we have one of our alums who we usually showcase, had attended one of the 8-week sessions we had at Oshobo Government School at the time, and eventually graduated into university. Thankfully, also has a supportive family who, he loved photography. So his parents got him a camera and all. By the time it was COVID year, 2020, Dio was already, earning in dollars. This was we met him when he was in secondary school, but from skills developed, through the various programs that we had for the boys, the teens boot camp that we had also, he was able to develop himself, started earning, in dollars because he was on Fiverr, and also eventually, now he has a piggery who, his father is managing while he's in school as well. So these are things that can evolve from identifying problems and then solving the problems. Now, how did the opportunities arrive? And this is me talking about my American experiences. Like I said, I didn't set out, to start looking for American experiences, but it's interesting how problem solving can, lead to opportunities. Now, I mentioned yearly RLC and how the entrepreneurship development programs that I had, led, of course, with my team. I always need to appreciate my team and their volunteers. They've helped me over the years. Some have gone on to do other things, but certainly they're part of the success story to my life and to all the projects that we've been able to implement. So thank you also. This is me saying thank you as well. Now, one of the days, randomly, I get a message from one of my cousins and she says, Tosin, check this out. And I had seen an advert on Yali RLC because I always checked for opportunities for Africans, opportunity desk and all. So I sent her a message that, oh, sis, I have seen this, but it's for Ghanaians. And she was like, you better check. It was a chat, but I could hear her voice say, you better check. And then when we spoke later, she was like, you better check. I hope you checked, So, of course, that was me learning how to also be detailed and ensuring that, I check all the requirements and eligibility and criteria and all. So I checked the requirements for yearly RLC and I saw, oh, it was for West Africans who were into civic engagement, business, or, public administration of some sort, So I applied and was able to share my experience and the successes that I had recorded, from it. Interviewed for it as well. And thankfully, I got the opportunity to go to Ghana for 5 weeks. So that was my, would I say, first official exchange program. I had already had an American experience through the grants, but in terms of exchange programs now, and I became an alum, a yearly RLC alum. That was in 2016. And then by 2017, I got news from one of my contacts that I had met, or one of my friends I had met, and formed friendship with in Oshobo. And he was saying, oh, because he had participated in the Mandela Washington Fellowship and said, oh, the US Department of State is creating alumni association. So they're calling on all alums, to come together so that we can create this alumni association. And I joined, and because I love to volunteer and take part in things around development, I just joined and put myself into it, like my co-alums as well. And the Osho State chapter of the US Government Exchange Alumni Association was birthed. And I can tell you, I was really active. We wrote grants, we won grants. So thank you to the US Consulate Lagos as well. I was involved in M&E, monitoring and evaluation of projects. And while at it, I was building my skills, I was building my capacity, Now, I also met, one of the alums, that's Chief Jim Oboraimo. We were able to collaborate. That's moving to 2018 to 2019, I'll collaborate to design, apply, and implement a funded project by the US Consulate. Again, it was on vocational skills training, entrepreneurship development, as well, things that I was, really vested in. And then on behalf of the alum, I applied for the AEIF. That's the Alumni Engagement Innovation Fund by the US Department of State globally. It's a global fund for alums worldwide, and we were able to secure a grant for the Osun State, another grant for the Osun State US Government Exchange Alumni Association. And the project, and it was tied around, voter education involving young people. So it was increasing women and youth participation in politics, because at that time, the Osun State elections were coming up. And so it was timely, for us to theme our grants around this area. And it did record, success stories. So I was involved in grant writing, money monitoring and evaluation, comprehensive report writing, and all of this, I would say, formed my American experiences and built my skills also over time. And then in 2023, I got the surprise of my lifetime. I was nominated for the IVLP, that's the International Visitor Leadership Program, for the NGO management track, if I can call it that. Now, the IVLP is the US Department of State's premier professional exchange program, and it's designed to connect current and emerging foreign leaders with their American counterparts through short-term visits. And I was like, yay, I'm going to the US. And, I started asking myself, Tosin, how did you get here? We didn't set out for this, but thank God, of course, the grace of God, and also working with people, partnerships, collaboration, volunteering, and of course, grace of God, and the US Department of State or the US Mission in Nigeria. So I'm really grateful for this opportunity. So I was nominated by the US Consulate Lagos for the IVLP, NGO management, like I mentioned, and it spent 3 weeks in the US in March 2023. I was one of 19 different nationalities. We had nationalities from the UK, we had from Macedonia, and so many others. And then we also worked with 4 international visitor liaison officers who are Americans, themselves, and they were really helpful to our stay in the US. So the states visited were 4 for me. We landed at in Washington, D.C. rather, and then moved to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, then Minneapolis, and then Philadelphia. What did we do? Oh, we toured. We went on tours, to familiarize ourselves with the White House. Yes, but I didn't enter. We didn't enter the Capitol, memorial parks, and so much more. Had meetings, loads of meetings, meeting people, with the US Department of State, numerous nonprofit organizations and key nonprofit stakeholders in the US. Loads and loads of workshops that we had for capacity building. And of course, participated in cultural activities. If you hear the basketball, the NBA, it's a big deal in the US. And then home hospitality as well. We had a family in the US welcome me and some of my colleagues into their homes, and they shared their experiences with us. Like it's an exchange program, so we're learning from one another. So yes, this is me in front of the White House. I got that shot. And then these are some of my colleagues and friends, met and formed at the IVLP program as well. Now, what have been the lessons and outcomes from problem solving and, of course, my American experiences? So I'd say the first thing is more exposure, to other cultures, meeting people from various countries, meeting different people from various backgrounds, widened my horizon, opened up, my eyes to see how things are done in other places. And of course, for best practices, best practices to apply on my job, in my career, with people, and also identifying similar career path stories that, okay, I'm not alone on this journey, whether of my career or of my life, generally speaking, and just, having some reassurance to continue. And then capacity developed. I mean, over the years, starting from identifying problems, identifying gaps, trying to fill gaps, things around project management were further strengthened, stakeholder engagement, a lot of it. And, I'm using so many of them in my career today. Currently, I manage a program around agribusiness and youth entrepreneurship development. These were things I learned way back in 2015, 2014, 2015. And now strengthening it and then passing it on, to younger people and even in my career generally. Understanding one's natural habitat, as one grows older, leaving uni, sometimes, going into uni, we could say, oh, JAMB gave me a particular course based on the results. It might not be what one wanted to study. I wanted to study what I actually set out to study. But I'm not working in core public health. I have evolved in my career in development. How? By identifying gaps, getting more exposure, and seeing that, okay, this is actually where my strength, where my passion lies as well. And there are opportunities in this space. Hey, so why not? So that has also helped. Volunteering. I've always loved volunteering. And that was one main thing I identified with the Americans. They love to volunteer, not for anything in return in terms of maybe cash, for example. Yes, it gives fulfillment, but most importantly, it also helps to solve problems in the society. And then collaboration. You need people. You cannot do it alone. Never walk alone, Liverpool says. I'm not a Liverpool fan, so let me not start any chaos. So, but never walk alone. You can't do it alone. I couldn't do anything on my own. I couldn't do anything alone. I needed people, to work with me, to support me, to also support them. It was a win-win. And that led to networks also, so increasing my networks, new friends. I mean, from the Alum alone, I wouldn't want to mention names so that nobody feels left out, but I have formed new friends, new partnerships, and opportunities come from there, new connections, and life is better because I have met them. And then I also learned to place premium value. I emphasize this on my support systems. Like I said, you cannot do it alone, but you need a support system because life gets challenging sometimes. I'll come to that. So my family, after God, is my family. I always say it. They are a huge support system. And honestly, I take this opportunity to say a very big thank you to all my family. And then my friends, mentors, you need them as support systems. You need them for bouncing back ideas, co-creation as well. And just to put you in check, make you accountable as well is very important. And then, from all these problem solving, all my American experiences as well, it has given a confidence boost. There have been different wins, different opportunities, and it just strengthens one's confidence and helps me to continue to remain authentic. And I will always love my grandma's quote, to thine own self, be true. You can't be true to yourself if you're not confident about yourself. And I want to say, yes, thank you. This has helped to boost my confidence as well. And of course, why are we doing all of this? To make an impact on lives, on our own lives ourselves, and of course, on people's lives that we meet, and eventually to help us live in a better society. The government cannot do it alone. We might have our grievances against our government, but how can we also step in? How can we step in? Wherever we find ourselves, there's some things that go on, whether you're in a private establishment or in a public establishment, it's not necessarily the government that is there, it's human beings that are there. So how can we as human beings take on challenges and say, okay, I'm going to start something, and try to solve a problem. Who knows where it will lead to? I never, ever in my wildest dreams, ever thought that, I'd be here today. But I'm grateful for the opportunity, that it has led me. Now, just to wrap it all up gradually, problem solving leading to opportunities. What issues have you observed? Whether in your community, in your personal space, in your workplace, in school as well. And what actions are you willing, to take? What are you willing to do to solve whatever problem? It could be in your estate. It could be in your, community. Let's not leave it to them. Are they them? Somebody throws, a wrapper of biscuits. You finish biscuits and you throw it on the floor. You finish a bottle of, soda or, minerals, like we call it here, and you toss it on the floor, flows into the gutter, flows into the drainages, flood comes, and then we start blaming the government. It's not the government that drank the bottle of soda or the minerals. It's not the government that ate the biscuits that we toss the wrapper, so things like that. It could be awareness creation, there will be challenges. You will certainly face challenges. I have faced challenges. I am facing challenges, and I'm sure that there will still be more challenges, in the future. There'll be various challenges I have faced, whether it's funding, how is one able to do this? For me, I would not advise you do it, but I had a business and I was pumping my business back into my development work because I kept on saying, this is what I love doing. I want to make sure I do it. Of course, that had an impact on the business, but I was able to also develop my skills while doing it. So like they say, don't do this at home. Find out what you want to do, how it can apply to your situation, and do it. You will make mistakes. I have made mistakes I'm not proud of. I wish I did make some of them, but they were lessons. They are lessons, so give yourself some grace, learn from it, and like they say, fail forward. Then stay innovative, do a lot of research. AI is here to stay, artificial intelligence, but how can we optimize AI for our own good? AI should not take over critical thinking. We harness it, we learn the prompts, we learn all of it, all that it brings. We harness it, we still critically think, and then seek ways to collaborate and, of course, see how to solve problems within our own space. Now, while problem solving, I'm here to say there is an opportunity to actually develop or test run your solutions, your potential solutions. And I must say that is the American space. And the 30 American spaces nationwide. And the first thing I will say to young people, I'm still young, so to we young people, there is free internet in every American space you enter into, whether it's an American corner or whether it's a window on America. There is free internet. You have access to laptops. So you have ideas that you're trying to test run. There are available spaces to host your events as well. They might be limited, but you're able to test run your ideas. I'll tell you how I benefited from the window on America in Oshogo as well. So, like I said, what's the American space? They host, the American spaces is one of the, would I say, products or resources of the US mission in Nigeria. And of course, they host workshops. So if, some of you might say, oh, but I've been doing all this, I've been volunteering my whole life. It's a space where you can network, meet people, collaborate, learn skills, career skills, 21st century digital skills. There are academic resources as well. You can take advantage of that. Lectures on entrepreneurship, leadership, current events, international affairs, various things for people who want to study in the US as well. I won't say Jackpot, so I'll just say people who want to study in the US. There's so many. So whether you're in Abuja, in Bauchi, Kano, Port Harcourt, Abeokuta, Kefi, just, search for American spaces in Nigeria. Honestly, it's a huge resource that we have and we're thankful for. So please connect with any American space near you. Remember, we started from identifying gaps in your environment. So if you need to put together a team and you want to meet, you can just approach, the resources that we have there. And as I wrap up, I, made use of the American space. I have benefited from the American space. That's Oshogo Window on America. So one of the projects, I mentioned that project Boys to Men, we were able to host, one of our programs, Intergenerational Conversations on the Male Gender. This was November 2024, a hybrid event at the Oshogo Window on America. Now, we had been doing the Boys to Men project, the project Boys to Men in secondary schools, and then we needed, to take it out, engage more stakeholders to be able to co-create, most importantly, for future interventions. And, we didn't have the funds. I didn't have the funds. And my team, we're not able to come up with the funds for renting hall, a hall, and all of that in terms of PA system and all of that. It was going to cost us, quite a fortune at the time. So we said, okay, we can do it, make it a hybrid event and go digital. We would even be able to reach more people, from there. And then we got in touch with Mr. Ibitoye, the director of the Oshogo Window on America, and he was very supportive with his team. I think it's Mr. Femi Samuel, if I remember well, and the other staff there. They were very, very supportive. We were able to live stream, the event, and we had the key stakeholders. And of course, part of the key stakeholders, I had alums, definitely. So those are one of the things that you benefit as well. Alums from the US exchange program, alumni. And we had cultural experts to be able to run our program. So this was us. This is Mr. Ibitoye. I'm sure he can see himself there. Femi as well. So I have benefited from it, and it's open. You can certainly test run your ideas there, just meet them and approach them, and, you'll be able to gain more experiences and opportunities at one of the spaces. So thank you very much. I hope it has been value for your time, and I'm open to questions. Thank you once again for this opportunity. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tosin. We have a lot of young people in our American spaces nationwide, and I'm sure so many of them have questions to ask you. They are trying to find their feet and to be able to know how to navigate life. So we will take live questions from our audiences in our spaces. If you have a question for Tosin, you can raise your virtual hand or you can chat in the box. So in the chat box, I would like to ask you the first question. You spoke about how when you graduated and you had to take the decision to relocate to Osun State. And you served in Katsina, just like you said. So what connection did you have with Osun State? Because we have some people too that might be in the audience. They are looking for a place to start. Although you told us the things that drew you to Osun State, was there an offer there for you, or you just out of space just decided to relocate to Osun State?
Okay, thank you very much, Josephine. So I had family in Osun State. I'm also from Osun State. I'm an Ijesha lady, by the way. So I also have family in Osun State. So that was one of the things that drew me. It was either I went to Ibadan or I went to Osun, but there was more light in Osun at the time. Things have changed now. Yeah, so that was it.
So the course you study, public health.
Yes.
I don't know if it was a viable course then, because I know now it's a very viable course. So what made you think of, going into volunteerism instead of searching for job in that field?
Okay, thank you. So I've always loved to volunteer or just, go into a space, see how I can get my hands dirty or help out or organizing something here. Okay, what can I do? How can I help? That's my kind of person. So it comes to me naturally, so whether it's public health or not public health, I'm open to volunteering as long as it will add value to people. And so I was actually job hunting in public health because my 2 degrees are public health. I was passionate about it. And like I said, my area of experience and my area of interest rather in public health is adolescent health. So that was the first thing I went to do when I couldn't get a job immediately. I started going to secondary schools, to talk around issues on adolescent health, sexual and reproductive health, things around drug abuse, and all of that. So I was doing that and also building my skills and making my CV fresh and not stale, that I am doing something in line with my field, even though I'm not in paid employment, at the moment. And then as the volunteering opportunities came, there were also opportunities in youth development, in entrepreneurship development, and I just, kept on moving in that field. So yes, public health is viable, was viable, is still viable, and is still part of, the development sector as well. Your microphone is muted.
I have somebody raising hand in
Okay.
Calabar. Please, Calabar, can you unmute and ask your question?
Good morning, Ms. Tosin.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Austin. So I wanted to ask if being a member of Yali actually like made you made your chances better or less. Or does someone supposed to be a member of Yali before like they have the kind of opportunities you were privileged to have access to?
Okay, thank you very much. So let me backtrack a bit. Like I said, I didn't start to become a yearly member. I was looking for work. That was it. But I started volunteering. I started identifying problems and solving problems. And then those interventions, if I can use that term, started creating track records for me. And if you remember, I did mention, my cousin was the one that sent me the Yali RLC application. I had seen it on Weather Opportunities for Africans also on a website online, but I said, it's for Ghanaians because it was called Yali RLC Ghana. And I scanned through and I saw, okay, Accra, Ghana. And then my cousin then sent it maybe about a week later also. And I said, sis, I've seen this thing that is for Ghanaians. And she was like, you better check, So I would never forget that sound in my head. So I then went on and applied. And because I needed a track record in my application, I had already started something. So it just helped to, position me better for Yali. So even without having Yali, you can still start something. And like I mentioned, if you have issues around where can I host my people, or if I have an idea I want to test out, the American spaces nationwide and in Calabar, like you're in, it's also a good place to test run and build your track record, I believe. Thank you. I hope that answered your question.
We have, I'm sure it does. Build a track record. Do something where you are.
Yes.
And I think American Corner Calabar is a good place to build your track record.
Awesome.
So we have Unilag. Unilag, can you unmute and speak to your mic?
Okay, hello.
Hello.
Okay, hello, good morning. Yes.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. So I want to ask, I've started volunteering, I've started working on projects, and I just completed my NYSC. I work on a personal project, learning library for secondary school team, SS2, SS3 class. So like I was able to complete the project successfully. But moving on, like if I want to continue something like that, I need more funds, I need more like resources. So like how do I keep on and still at the end of the day I'm still looking for work kind of. So how do I move on with something like that?
Awesome. Thank you for your question. I can identify with you 100% because that has also been my life story. Like I mentioned, don't do this at home. But I was running a business. Even the business, I just stumbled on it. What was I doing? Food distribution. We had been gifted odorless fufu in the house. And I was making it one day. I said, this is a good product. I can sell this thing, That's how I started, though. I just connected with the people and all of that. Yes, like I said, network, collaborate with people. So I reached out to the person. Thankfully, I knew the person, and I reached out to him, and he's been of tremendous help to my life as well, So my business money, I will put it into my business. I said, don't do this at home, because if you want to run an entrepreneurship business, run your business. But because I had the goal of building in development, I was able to leverage on that. I also worked with other volunteers. I didn't do it alone. I'm grateful for my support system. Like I said, premium value. My support system, I place a premium value on them. And then also, after you have tried all of this, and you are saying that, this thing is not working, you cannot kill the donkey. I'm speaking in parables based on a song now. Don't kill yourself. You need to be alive before you can make impact, So it's good that you have the passion, but take care of yourself first. You should come first. You should not burn out. When you see it's not working, it's okay to pause. I was there as well. I'm there in some of the projects that I'm doing. I don't have the funds to continue. So I have paused. At some point, I was trying to pull everything together and do it and travel and all of that. Like like you heard, I'm working, full time as well. So I was traveling. It was affecting my health. And I said, it's the person that is alive that can work in development, though, auntie. So it's okay to pause. Give yourself some break. Do you understand? And then gather yourself together. If you need to build your skills so that you can position yourself for better job opportunities, please do so. And then maybe you can continue later on. It's okay. At the end of the day, it's your story. You're not trying to, it's your impact story, it's your journey. I hope that helped.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm trying to see if we have any other hands raised. Tosin, I would like you to speak to our young people in the room. You are in school, you are still studying. How can you build a track record for yourself? Not waiting till when you graduate and you are serving. As they are still in school, how can they build a track record of solving societal problems? You mentioned volunteerism, which is a very great and a good one, but to be focused as a young person and manage your academics and also build a track record that you can easily refer to after graduation. I want you to
Okay.
speak to our young audience in the room.
All right. Thank you, Josephine. And thank you for the opportunity of speaking to the young audience. I'm still young too, so I can identify. Okay, so while in school, whether secondary or uni, as well, I think it starts from your own personal space, as well. And that's where you start. I'm very skills driven. I'm very development driven. I enjoy building capacity. So anything to do with capacity building, that's a first place you can start from. Identify opportunities, especially for the 18 to 35-year-olds. There are loads and loads of free opportunities online. So you have access to the internet. You have access to AI. Search, research. If you remember, I mentioned, do a lot of research and try to find out what opportunities exist for 18 to 35-year-olds in Nigeria, Southwest, Northwest, Northeast, or wherever your location is. You need to do a lot of research. And I don't have data, how do I get data? I'm happy there is a space in Unilag now. Hopefully it will open up in other, higher institutions as time goes by, or it could just be in your space. Go there. Back in the day, I'd go to cyber cafes, to my master's application. It was cyber cafe. I had one very old BlackBerry like this. I did all of it on my phone then, because at the time, we didn't have so much of the Android. In fact, the Android had not even come. It was BlackBerry that we had there, and my master's application was online, so do a lot of research, use the AI as well, use the internet, you will get loads of opportunities. And whether it's to scale your skills, you get loads of opportunities as well. And many of them are free. So use the freebies. Partake in things around the in opportunities that the American space offers, as well. Do a search to find out. Go to past webinars that they have done and learn from that. And then the learnings that you get from there, use it in your space. It will start from your room, maybe your hostel room, if you're in uni and you're in a hostel. Identify what are the gaps, what are issues, what are the problems there. I mentioned one of waste management. I get cringed when people toss things on the floor. They just finish eating, you toss it on the floor, toss it on. You can start a waste management project from there. Start awareness creation. Oh, we want to make Unilag clean, or wherever you are, your area, your community, we want to make it clean. Call a few people, co-create. You can't do it on your own. Identify the needs as well. I work in a place where we're very big on needs assessment in New Nigeria Foundation. So identify the needs, because development is bottom up. Don't go to the community with the solutions. Ask them, what are the needs in your community or in your space, not necessarily physical community, and then create awareness. Use the likes of Instagram, Facebook. Do an Instagram live. Let it archive your interventions, your projects. Oh, I'm doing an awareness creation on something, or whatever. It could be business. My space is development, so it comes to me naturally. It could be business. You can even monetize whatever solution that you're, giving out as well. So use the tools that you have available, especially free of charge. Run live programs, identify needs, co-create with people, and then research. Do a lot of it. Critical thinking is key, and don't walk alone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tosin. Now, when you mentioned cyber cafe, I can really, I can really identify with that. But the U.S. government has done so much, especially in Nigeria, by bringing 30 American spaces spread all over the nation. And these things that you have mentioned, they are free of charge. You have free access to internet. You have free access to all the programs that we run in American spaces, Nigeria. They are totally free.
Yeah.
The new ones that are on now on how you can use AI, even for study, for business, all they are ongoing at our spaces and for free. If you have to pay to take some of these courses, you'll be paying in millions if you convert and in dollars. But the US government has made it possible for the Nigerian audience to be able to participate in this. And I also want to encourage most of our audience in our spaces this morning. Let's spread this good news. Let's take advantage. And Tosin, in the course of our presentation, she has also shared the spaces that we have. Look for one that is close to you. Join our YouTube channel. You can watch past episodes of some of these trainings, our webinars, and we can make something good out of it. I would like to thank you, Tosin, for your time this morning and for
Thank you.
sharing, real life experience that you have had and how your American experience has improved your work, your career, and all that you do. Thank you so much. I would like to invite
Thank you,
Prof.
Josephine.
Mr. Itayo, even as he ties up the program this morning. A round of
Thank you,
applause to our
Josephine.
facilitator.
Thank you.
I
Thank
would
you
like
so much,
everybody
Josephine.
put your hands
Thank you,
together
everyone.
for Tosin. Let's put our hands together, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's a very big opportunity for us
Thank
to
you.
hear your story. And I would like to challenge all of you who are listening today. Some of you are still looking at your laptop, Unilag. What you have heard today, I want to encourage you, make sure you put them into practice. Many people are waiting for opportunities to come to them, but they don't know that it is when you are at work that opportunities will come your way. Most of us are waiting. Don't wait anymore. Seek out opportunities by doing something. American spaces are all over the country, and many of you do not know that the opportunities that you are looking for are right at your doorstep. So please take advantage of these opportunities. Challenge yourself to be the better of you. And please watch this video again. It's on YouTube channel, American Spaces Nigeria. And I can assure you, you will never remain the same. Remember, always invite somebody when you're coming for this program. It will not only benefit you, it will benefit your friend. Even if you have an enemy, that may even be the best way to settle your scores. To our guests today, thank you very much. We really
Thank you,
appreciate you
sir.
one more time.
Thank you,
We
sir.
hope when we call you at another time, you'll be able to yield to our call.
Absolutely.
So thank you, everyone. And we hope
Thank
to see
you.
you another time.
Thank you
Bye,
so much.
everyone.
Thank you for having
Bye-bye.
me. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye for now.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.